Ridge Hospital into an ultra-modern 420-bed capacity hospital in 2 years. And Accra Metropolitan Assembly unlikely to meet presidential deadline for the naming of all streets in Accra. There's also showbiz and international news, whilst Abigail Adumakoimpi will be here with business and George Ado Jr. with sports.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
In our very first story, President John Mahama has reiterated his commitment to maintain peace in the country before, during and after the delivery of the Supreme Court ruling this Thursday. Responding to a plea from the outgoing Canadian High Commissioner to Ghana, Trudy Kenningham, the President assured her the country's democratic values will see it through the period. The President, at another ceremony at the Flagstaff House, received 4 new envoys accredited to Ghana, called on African countries to join forces to restore peace to Egypt.
Ambassador Kenningham, who is leaving the country at the end of her duty tour, added her voice to calls for peace.
We share the democratic values. We share a love of the rule of law, of human rights. We have shared those values for a very long time. As Ghana awaits this decision that we will get on Thursday, we simply hope that peace will prevail and that the decision is rendered and accepted, and that things move on as they need to.
The President, on the other hand, said he remains optimistic. Nothing will be done to disturb the country's matured democracy.
I wish to assure you that Ghana's democracy has matured, and notwithstanding what happens in the verdict, Ghana would continue to live in peace and harmony and continue to make the progress that happily we are seeing in the last several years. We'll continue to focus on the things that matter to make this country a better place.
The President earlier received new envoys accredited to Ghana to present their credentials to him at the Flagstaff House. The new Philippines ambassador, Alex Lamadrid, and his delegation were the first to call on the President. President Mahama recalled the solid relationship between the two countries that has grown since 1964.
There's a quite significant Filipino population here in Ghana, almost 2,000 of them in various sectors, working in the shipping industry, in oil and gas, and in construction. I believe that it is possible for us to build our relationships to an even higher level during your tenure of office as ambassador.
The new Philippines ambassador also lauded Ghana's economic credentials, adding that with their expertise in the oil and gas sector, they will be willing to help Ghana grow in that field. Next to meet the President was Jong Yong-cho from North Korea. President Mahama called for calm between them and their neighboring countries. The Kuwait ambassador Fayez Michel Al-Jassim was also there to present his credentials to the President. President Mahama appealed to Kuwait to join forces with Ghana and other African countries to help restore peace in Egypt.
I want to say that Ghana, as a country that is having a newly developing oil and gas and petrochemical sector, has a lot to learn from Kuwait that has many, many years of experience in that sector. And so during your tenure of office as ambassador, we're going to work together to see how we can share the experience that you have garnered over the many years in this particular sector. Aside from that, I want to call on Ghana and Kuwait, and indeed Africa and the Arab world, to work together to see how we can resolve the crisis that currently affects North Africa.
Now, 32,000 police personnel will be deployed on Thursday to maintain law and order as the Supreme Court gives its landmark ruling on the election petition. Two major roads, the John Evans at Mills High Street and the Thorpe Road, at the entrance to the Bank of Ghana will also be closed to traffic to prevent supporters and sympathizers from the two major political parties from converging there. The move, according to Director of Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service, DSP Cephas Arthur, is to forestall any form of violence.
DSP Cephas Arthur first explained the preparedness of the police towards Thursday ruling.
About 32,000 police officers will be on duty. Those that will be deployed for special operations, those that will be standing by to respond to emergency situation, to respond to crowd disorders or mass disorders should we record such events, those that will be deployed to manage traffic in case of jubilation, over jubilation, people, spontaneous public events that have not been planned for are all in place. And they are all contained within this 32 or about 32,000 personnel.
Security, he indicated, had also been provided for all major players in the court hearing.
Nana Akufo-Addo and his lawyers, Dr. Bawumia, the chairman of the MPP, the chairman of the NDC, the president and his lawyers, Dr. Kujua Ferijan and his lawyers, the judges in the panel have all been taken care of to ensure that their security is safeguarded, is assured.
The police PRO also spoke about the road closures and diversions.
We are going to have roadblocks at the John Evans Atamis Highway between the Cocoa Affairs and Court Junction and the Barclays Bank headquarters. The Thorpe Road at the Bank of Ghana entrance. Traffic from the Independence Square would be diverted onto the Liberia and Secretariat roads. Then 2, traffic emanating from Jamestown will be diverted onto the Bank Lane at the Stanchart headquarters, and subsequently onto the Pagan and Asafo-Acheneti roads. So these are the diversions.
Ghanaians are meanwhile being advised to maintain the peace before and after the verdict.
The people of Ningo in the Pram Pram district have celebrated this year's Homowo Festival with a caution from the acting chief against celebrations of the Supreme Court verdict. Nene Atiapa II says residents who engage in wild jubilation after the ruling on Thursday risk arrest. Gifty Ando Apia files report on the Homowo celebration.
We don't want anybody from Ningo, neither home and or abroad, to jubilate when the judgment was being given. And if anybody jubilate will be arrested. Will allow the police to be arrested, and then the Transaka also will deal with them drastically. As Nego, we have a different people. Different parties. Those who join different parties, and then you will jubilate to some way that somebody will be annoyed. We don't want anybody to jubilate. We want them to, everybody to stay indoor. Not that nobody will travel anywhere. We don't care, but keep quiet. You don't talk. Okay. We have set a men all around on Thursday to go around the town. Anybody that they will see you, that they will report you to the police to be arrested.
Nene Atiapa II told hundreds of youth who witnessed the celebration to also protect themselves during sex to prevent unwanted pregnancies and STDs. He also asked them to stop assaulting their spouses, a phenomenon he says has become rampant in the town. He informed the community about plans to establish an airport in the area and urged them to pursue education to be able to optimize the opportunities that the project may offer.
Some of them, when they married, they don't care for their children nor their wives. And then when a wife did anything, they just beat them unnecessary beatings. And I'm advising them to put their children to school. They should care for the children to university level. Some of them, when you go to the seaside, you see the children working at the seaside doing particularly netting. The year mark for the international airport is 8,000 acres. now the government is taking 60,000. We have agreed to give the land because it's a earmark for the whole country. And we hope very soon they will start because we are willing for the project to take off.
Under his leadership last year, Ningo refused to fall under a district created by government in nearby Prom Prom. Nene Atiapa II said their decision last year on the creation of the district has not changed because Ningo deserves its own district. Nene Atiapa sprinkled Pekwe in the town amidst declaration of blessings for the coming year. August marks the beginning of a year on the Ga traditional calendar. Giftiando Apia, Joy News, Ningo.
Some angry youth, NDC youth at Boku in the Upper East region have been protesting against the president's latest nominee for Boku MC. But for the timely intervention of the police, a lot of property would have been destroyed. The angry youth claimed Amadou Karimu was a member of the MPP who joined the NDC about a year ago and so has not worked hard enough for the party to deserve the appointment as Boku Municipal Chief Executive. The youth who took to the streets of the town destroyed pictures of the president to register their disagreement. They later delivered a statement at a news conference. Also, the police has been indicted in a recent clash with residents of Twifo-Praso in the central region over Galamsey mining. The incident resulted in the death of 2 persons. The committee tasked to investigate the incident cited the police for overstepping their bounds amidst other serious infractions.
The third recommendation is that the police service inquiry or disciplinary action should be taken against the team leader, that is Constable Lance Corporal Alexander Agbenu, for failing to carry out in a proper manner a duty assigned him by the district commander. He, for example, decided on his own to include Bimpo Adia community in their operations list when that community was not part of the areas earmarked for operation. He misled district commander by failing to account for one round of ammunitions since entries he made in the station diary on their return did not include same. We also recommended that the district commander should be made to go on transfer. This is because major stakeholders such as chiefs, opinion leaders, and heads of institutions have lost confidence in him, thereby creating a platform that can make it difficult for him to get their needed support in terms of situations of that nature in future. It is also recommended that the state should bear the cost of medical, burial, and funeral expenses of the 2 persons who died. Last but not the least, we said some form of compensation should be given to the spouses and children of the 2 deceased.
A joint police-military task force has raided a small-scale mining site at Esoso, a farming community near Takwa, in the Takwa Nsawaya municipality of the Western region. Machines and equipment belonging to the miners are said to have been destroyed in the raid. Some of the small-scale miners are, however, alleging that some of their colleagues were allowed to continue operating after monies were extorted from some of them.
A visit to the site by Joy News a day after the operation saw many of the small-scale miners busily working on their machines, while some immediately took to their heels at the sight of the news team. Joy News investigations revealed that the small-scale miners who claim their activities were legal but failed to produce any document to back their claims said they acquired the land from one Mahamo, based in Tema, who they believe acquired the land from a chief and elders of that community whose identities were not revealed. The total concession has been divided among the miners who have diverted the course of the Bonsa River through their activities. Close to the site is a forest reserve. Some of the small-scale miners who witnessed the operation said the team, numbering over 30, stormed the site, set ablaze most of the Chang Fan machines and boats being used for the alluvial mining, while the owner of the excavator machine, working on a separate concession, was made to pay some money to the team leader to avoid destruction of his excavator in the company of the assemblyman for Esuoso. But the allegation was later debunked by the assemblyman in an interview.
Soldiers for no from 30, car 3, police for 15. To mobile no now. On the do site, into the United States, in home, and I'm besides excavator near Mandia, and I'm confessed excavator on the buy. Into buy no see on Beji 500 million, on Mutuas Candes, on Messi Machino. Into buy no the Henemy by Musumunji, and I'm also Kotaka, my phrase, and first Catholic, but no one different about the yet meeting at amount, but I had through a Mahamudi concession, or Yijuma about 3 years in Yajuma. He
admitted to an operation taking place but denied having any knowledge of extortion. He further challenged the aggrieved miners to produce documents backing their legality, insisting their activities were illegal since they are working in a forest reserve.
We have more news coming up. Stay tuned. Work is to begin in October this year on the rehabilitation and expansion of the Ridge Hospital here in Accra. The project, which should be completed in 2 years, will transform the facility into an ultra-modern 420-bed capacity hospital at the cost of $250 million. Etanam says report.
Last year alone, the Ridge Hospital, now called Greater Accra Regional Hospital, conducted 11,032 deliveries with only 10 labor beds at the gynecology department. So when a woman delivers, she is given a maximum of 1 hour to rest and the bed is given to another woman. The hospital, according to authorities and patients, lack adequate space and logistics to operate.
Now, the other challenge that we had was the theater, which was about 150 to 200 meters away from the labor ward. And this is also a challenge. The state-of-the-art and modern approach to maternity care is to have the theater facility right inside the labor ward, so that as and when a woman who is in labor needs to be delivered, she is just prepared and sent immediately to the theater to cut away time that is lost.
The sword-cutting ceremony to expand the hospital and also rehabilitate some of the failing structures comes a great relief to hospital authorities and patients. Health Minister Sherry Aite said the ultra-modern hospital will include a comprehensive diagnostic and treatment block with a 24-hour surgery service, imaging department, delivery unit, accident and emergency, neonatal intensive care unit, intensive care and emergency unit, hospital quarters for health workers, among others.
Under the Better Ghana agenda, we are going to have 10 regional hospitals across the country. Your health is very important to us. And we believe that wherever you are, you must have access to quality health care.
As a regional hospital for the Greater Accra, its catchment area is the whole of the region with an estimated population of over 2.5 million. Nima, Mamubi, Kanda, Accra Newtown, Kotobabi, Osu, La, Adabraka, Airport Residential, Legon, Achimota and Central Accra all depend on Ridge Hospital. Excited hospital officials expressed their gratitude.
In her peace, we shall find our peace. The good Lord knows the thought He has for us. Thought for good and not for evil, to bring us to an expected end.
With the coming in of this project, the obstetric and the obstetric part, where we are going to have state-of-the-art labor ward, about 12 different labor suites, and patients will be given that privacy, no longer that open ward. where anybody enters and sees the other woman, the nakedness of the other woman.
The process should be completed and ready to use by October 2015. Etonam say, Joy News.
Staying on health, Ghana will introduce for the first time ever combination vaccine against rubella and measles in a nationwide campaign next month to contain a recent outbreak of rubella in the northern region. According to the National Immunization Program, the nationwide vaccination program will be targeting children aged between 9 months and 14 years.
The country has for some years now had structured regular mass measles campaigns to prevent outbreak of the killer disease. The emergence of rubella in recent times has, however, prompted the latest intervention to piggyback on the long-standing measles vaccination campaign. This, the National Immunization Program Manager, Dr. Kwejode Entry-Eje says, has informed the 11th to 20th September campaign, which will be conducted throughout the country. He explains the introduction of the combination vaccine is to ensure that a larger number of children will be vaccinated within a short period.
We used to give measles alone, but now it will be replaced with measles rubella vaccine, so that with the same injection, you now get protection against 2 diseases instead of formerly 1. People are traveling everywhere. It doesn't mean it's in Tamale and will remain there. He can go to any part. People are also going to Tamale. They are going everywhere. So it's done for the whole country.
This strategy, he says, has helped in reducing the number of cases, adding that no child has died from measles in Ghana in the last 10 years.
It's the patronage of the vaccine. I mean, when children go for the vaccination, then they get protected, and then we prevent the disease, and then we reduce deaths. So our advice is not house to house. It's static. So they should visit the nearest vaccination center from the 11th to the 20th.
He acknowledged the diverse contributions of all health development partners, traditional leaders, as well as the mass media, and asked for their continuing support and collaboration to ensure the total eradication of measles rubella in the country.
The Accra Metropolitan Assembly is not likely to meet the deadline issued by the President for the naming of all streets in Accra by the end of the year. National Coordinator of the Land Administration Project, Dr. Isaac Kakare Bonsu, in an interview with Joy News, said there are still consultations as to what name to give some of the streets, while the counterpart funding from government is also not forthcoming.
Phase 2 of the Land Administration Project seeks to address and strengthen land administration management systems, which also includes improving the mapping systems and street addressing for selected areas. According to the project coordinator, the challenge of funding, poor cooperation from community members, and controversies about what name to give some of the streets does not convince him the deadline given by the President will be met.
Things are going on quite well. We hope to beat the deadline, even though we know there are serious challenges. In fact, my understanding is that the President's own the directive may not be fully met by the deadline, but would have done so much towards it, making sure that at the end of the day it will be for the betterment of Ghana.
He talked about other projects being contemplated, including a new office complex and an automated system both for the Lands Commission.
We intend cutting the sword in September. Once the sword is cut in September, in fact, we even have the plan to involve the Select Committee of Parliament on Land to visit the site and begin to see, talk to some of those PAPs, the project affected persons. They've been compensated, and given all their compensation, they need to move out. So at the moment, all that we are waiting for is a sword cutting. After the 2 ministers have agreed as to the budgetary allocation in the 2014 budget. From when it comes to automation, we are yet to give the contract to a consultant. Very soon, the consultant will come, and we will begin to see the processes re-engineered.
Meanwhile, a capacity building workshop on the Lab 2 project has been organized for media personnel in the southern part of the country. The workshop is to improve writing skills in land issues. It was announced at the workshop that a best reporter on land issues would be honored at the 2014 Ghana Journalist Awards.
The Savannah Accelerated Development Authority will soon start a program on sustainable housing initiative. Chief Executive Alhaji Gilbert Idi, who announced this, says the program is intended to empower youth from the Savannah Ecological Zone to go into construction as entrepreneurs with the use of local building materials in collaboration with the various district assemblies. He made the announcement at an inter-ministerial meeting on SADA in WAM. Here's Rafiq Salam's report.
The Interministerial Meeting on the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority is the second to be organized in 3 months to give the 5 regional ministers located in the Savannah Ecological Zone an opportunity to engage the SADA team on best way forward for the authority. Northern Regional Minister Bid Ziding, Upper East Regional Minister Limuna Mohamed Muniru, Deputy Regional Minister for Bonafo Region Justice Samuel Ejay, Deputy Minister for Volta Region Francis K. Ganyaglu, and Upper West Regional Minister, who also doubles as a chairman of the meeting, were present. They were also joined by Minister of State in charge of Development Authorities, Dr. Mustafa Ahmed. The Upper West Regional Minister, Dr. Avianso, was hopeful despite the challenges the authorities bedeviled with, it will achieve its intended purpose.
We have a green zone, we have poverty either fully eliminated or reduced to a level that is either better or par with our colleagues in the south, in a manner that poverty would not be at the level that it is here in the SADA zone, comprising the 3 regions.
The Chief Executive Officer of the SADA, Alhaji Gilbert Idi, said many people in the country are ignorant, hence their assertion that SADA is a complete failure.
There are people who think that once SADA has come, SADA is going to roll out white-collar jobs for people, and those white-collar jobs are not coming. And there's a lot of frustration being expressed as a result of all this kind of misinformation. It is our hope that with these interactions with these civil society organizations, we should be able to put SADA in its perspective about what SADA is expected to do and how SADA is doing it.
Alhaji Idi outlined some of the programs they will be rolling out soon.
We are also coming up with a sustainable housing initiative where we have brought in hydroform block building machines. At the last board of directors meeting, specific guidance has been given about how to turn out the implementation of this sustainable housing initiative intervention in order to be able to empower youth from the SADA zone, gangs of youth as entrepreneurs to go into housing construction using local building material in collaboration with the district assemblies.
The Minister of State in charge of Development Authority, Dr. Mustafa Ahmed, also expanded on some of the programs the authority will be undertaking. Rafiq Salam's reports from WA.
NADMO, in collaboration with the Earthquake Engineering Research Institute in the USA, plans to institute a program to educate schools in the country on all they need to know about earthquakes. The move is part of efforts by the 2 bodies aimed at reducing the negative impact of tremors worldwide.
The program attracted officials of the Ministry of Education, school administrators, the Ghana Earthquake Society, Ghana Institute of Engineers, and other stakeholders. Representatives from Hausina Fellow Program educated the stakeholders on earthquakes. Carlin Bolshedid is a structural engineer. She explains the importance of the program.
This is a Ghana School Seismic Safety Project, and we are collaborating with a number of agencies in Ghana to promote the seismic safety of schools. And when I talk about seismic safety, I'm talking about safety in earthquakes. So we are trying to promote the seismic safety of schools, and the reason is we find that schools suffer a lot in earthquakes around the world. The Hausa fellows come from different countries. And so if you are doing a program for Ghana, you must work with the people in Ghana before you can give any advice. And so we are working with NADMO as far as the preparedness issues are concerned. NADMO is a body on the ground here in Ghana. NADMO will be promoting the shakeout drill. NADMO will be the body that will be promoting the introduction of disaster preparedness in curriculum in schools. And so NADMO will be the one actually doing a lot of the things.
It is expected that Ghanaians sense safety regarding earthquakes will improve even in the design and construction of school buildings, offices, and other public places.
We have business coming up shortly, but later on we're getting back on to interact with you, engage you on social media. And the issue we're putting to you is, in the last 10 hours, there's been a number of developments in Ghana football, such as the surprise inclusion of Michael Essien in the Black Star squad to face Zambia, and then the exclusion of Sule Muntari. There's been a lot going on. What do you make of all of that? Get onto our Facebook wall and let us know what you think. I'll share that with the rest of the world. Business is next.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Joy Business with me, Abigail Adumako Enchi. Now, civil society group Third World Network is pushing for the foreign exchange retention policy for mining firms to be abolished. Government currently allows mining firms to keep at least 25% of their profits outside the country for the acquisition of machinery and for dividend payments. But the network believes the policy is being abused by some of the mining firms, while the current business environment does not warrant the state to continue with such a policy. Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Dr. Tony Obin, however, tells Joy Business the call is misplaced. Government, on the other hand, says the policy is to encourage investments into certain key sectors of the economy. So players in the oil and gas industry have called for a legal regime which will enable the punishment of offences that threatens the survival of the sector. At a meeting in Accra, they asked for clarity in the reporting link on safety and security matters between regulators and operators in the industry.
Dealing with issues of security and safety of the oil and gas industry has become crucial as the sector grows. The debate was sparked after the incident near the Salt Pond field where a ship was used in siphoning about 3,500 metric tons of crude oil from another pirated vessel off the coast of Gabon. Although no Ghanaian company has been indicted in the case, the Ghana Petroleum Commission thought it wise to bring together stakeholders in the industry to discuss how to ensure that the industry is safe and secure. For players, the safety of the industry will remain threatened if the appropriate legislations are not in place.
We need laws that will protect the oil industry, which will also empower us to enforce those laws. So when we go out there and we see anyone offending those laws, then we'll be in a position to enforce. But where there are no laws, we shall be limited. So such a regulation, I'm looking at a law that will cover the broad range of offenses that could threaten the survival of the oil industry.
He hinted that a committee is currently investigating the simmering tensions between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire over maritime boundaries, but assured there is no cause for alarm. The Petroleum Commission, on its part, says it is using its administrative procedures to ensure the oil and gas sector absorbs Ghanaians and talked about some of the successes so far.
If you take the international oil companies and their service providers, the number of people that are employed is well over 6,000 people working, and over 80% of them are Ghanaians. And you take the managerial position on average, especially for the IOCs. Now, majority of people occupying managerial positions are Ghanaians. And some of the companies have made significant progress. That right now they are achieving almost 90% of their staff are now Ghanaians.
Now, the Steel Manufacturers Association of Ghana, SMAG, has called for the legal ban on the export of ferrous scrap to be maintained. Addressing a news conference on the matter today, the group's chairman, MJ Patel, chairman of SMAG, suggested the minister rescind his decision to open a window of opportunity for limited export and allow the ban to stay.
According to the Steel Manufacturers Association of Ghana, the current supply of ferrous scraps to the industry is inadequate and that allowing the export would worsen the production situation of the companies and negatively impact on jobs and livelihoods. Its chairman said the industry currently receives just a fraction of the 85,000 tons of ferrous scraps it needs monthly to operate at full capacity.
Steel mills are woefully inadequate. Current total monthly scrap supply averaging 25,000 tons, as against an average monthly ferrous scrap requirement of 85,000 tons for full capacity operations of steel factories in Ghana, makes fixed cost high.
He added that the expansion of the steel industry would depend on the availability of scrap and that lifting the ban would make it even scarce for local producers.
Furthermore, ongoing expansion and diversification of product lines will depend on continued and sustained availability of the ferrous scrap. Therefore, opening the window for export, no matter how narrow, will only serve to exacerbate the already scarce ferrous scrap supply situation.
The association also said discharging scraps from trucks has returned to normal, as the queues of the loaded trucks at the factory gates immediately after the ban has long disappeared.
Now, the board of the Microfinance and Small Loan Center is awaiting a directive from the president on the fate of his interdicted CEO after it presented its investigative report. Bertha Soga was sometime in April asked to step down for investigations into corruption allegations leveled against her. She has been accused of diverting Maslok funds into her husband's microfinance company. Meanwhile, Maslok today presented a total of almost 500,000 Ghana cedis to market women in Accra affected by recent fires. My name is Abigail Adumakwenchi, and it's been a pleasure bringing you business.
Joy News Business was brought to you in association.
Time for the very latest in the world of sports. Now, the build-up to the crucial World Cup qualifier between Ghana and Zambia has moved a notch higher after both managers released their squads for next weekend's assignment. Coach Kwesi Appiah kept to his trend of surprise call-ups. This time out, an insizable throw of the dice with Chelsea's Michael Essien included. Ghana coach Kwesi Appiah has named Chelsea midfielder Michael Essien. Right, so this up on Facebook, and loads of you have actually been reacting to this. We'll be following that closely now. Various political parties, together with religious leaders, the media, and the Musicians Union of Ghana, and former Black Stars players are participating in the competition dubbed Political Tolerance Soccer Gala at the Cross Sports Stadium. The competition is aimed at promoting political tolerance, peace and unity after the Supreme Court's verdict. The highlight of the competition was a game between political parties and the Old Black Stars players, which ended in a 4-2 defeat for the political parties team that was captained by Hassan Ayariga. Ayariga fell short of his 2-goal promise, but claimed he was robbed of his second goal.
You realize that I scored the 2 goals.
No, you gave a pass.
Yes, no. I gave a pass, and when I was about to push me, and he scored the goal. So that's my goal. All right. But anyway, we have demonstrated to the world that we have lost against the Black Stars, and we are happy. We shook hands with them. That is the unity we are talking about. That is the peace. We have lost, and we are happy. We are still enjoying ourselves, and that is what we want everybody to do in this country. When you lose an election or you lose a game, all you need to do is to again mobilize yourself and look forward to the next one.
All right, so the issue we're discussing on social media, as I'm sure you would have seen on our Facebook wall right now, it's about this Black Star squad and the developments in Ghana football that's happening, taking place over the last 8 or 10 hours. What exactly is happening?
Everybody is surprised. Indeed, Kwesi Appiah over the past few years has obviously come up with surprise calls. But I think this one is a really incisable throw of the dice. Michael Essien from nowhere. I mean, Michael Essien has not been playing well, for the last 3 games in Chelsea. He has been on the bench. And it goes against Kwesi Appiah's own, rule that says that if you're not an active player and if you're not playing, I would not call you. Yeah. 2 players in the squad. You talk about Samuel Nkrumah and Michael Essien. Big questions about it. Really, people are not too sure about what is in Kwesi Appiah's mind. And Michael Essien didn't come out to announce publicly. Yes, we know that in the background there were some consultations with the FA president and all, but this is a bit rushed. We are not too sure about what's happening here right now. Ghanaians are not too satisfied with this and divided over this. Some feel that, the guy has what it takes to engineer something. Others feel that, this is too fishy.
You know, a lot of the comments that are coming on Facebook, and we posted it on Facebook, we're asking you, there's been about the number of developments that have taken place in Ghana football over the last 8 hours. And a lot of people who are talking about what they believe is unfair treatment of Sule Muntari. They feel that Sule Muntari was there for the nation, and so he should be treated that way. They feel that, yes, he overreacted. But if there's the suggestion that he actually apologized,
he did apologize. I can say that, you know, very confidently. He did apologize. At least he wrote the letter. The letter was to the Ghana Football Association, but we also know credible sources tell us he was on the phone with Kwesi Appiah. Maybe Kwesi Appiah wants to say, enough of all of this. He might be punished for this game. I think that's Kwesi Appiah's thinking, and maybe he'll be giving a chance in the other games. Of course, the World Cup is not up. We have not yet qualified. We still have the final leg to play. So maybe he's saying that Sule Muntari, for all the trouble, take it easy and endure the pain, and after that you come and join us.
Let me just read a few of the comments. Doyo says, GFA manages a team behind closed doors. It's unfair to Muntari, not to demean Essien. Muntari deserves a better place in the team. Ghanaians, Abod says, Ghanaians don't really appreciate what Sule Muntari did for the country. There's a midfielder who scores more than strikers, especially in crucial matches. Among the players Appiah called, how many of them is playing regular in a club like AC Milan? And then he says, extend my birthday wish to Sule. Apparently it's his birthday today.
It's sad news for Sule Muntari. And I think the lesson here is that you just have to understand that you have to be careful about your temper. You have to be careful about your conduct on the game, actually when the game is ongoing. So some of these things will go out there. And I think that Kwesi Appiah is just trying to stamp his authority and say that, well, I'm the boss here. You are going to be out of the squad for now. Later on, I'll decide if you come.
Is he really the boss, or there's somebody else?
Lots of questions out there.
We'll leave it at that point. That's it for sports. We have international news coming up next.
Sports was brought to you in association.
Traditional African music came alive last night at the Chez Afrique restaurant here in Accra, as New Zealand-based Ghanaian Zozo treated music lovers to authentic African tunes.
The patrons, who were all walks of life, appeared to have a great time listening to Zozo dish out his mix of music brewed the African way.
African pressure, not the what's the pressure, not the African system, not the
But the New Zealander Ghanaian was not the only act performing that night. He had some support from some upcoming high-life artists. Zozo, who considers himself a music ambassador for Ghana, explains why he fuses reggae with elements of high life.
I learned it from a master drummer from Koforidua.
From Koforidua?
Yeah, a guy called Suleimana. You can't do dancehall music more than the Jamaicans. Okay, Ghanaians, you can't do dancehall music more than the Jamaicans. We have to be creative. Knowledge from here with the knowledge from there, put together on the road.
And from all indications, the patrons appeared to have loved what they heard.
The performance was great. He used to act like a fella. He appears everything. He's a great musician.
I mean, I would say I was so impressed. What he did is just the eyes of the... So I think he has more to show. I cannot wait to see him.
African pressure, not the what's the pressure, not the
Right, so we're going to our Facebook wall and to the comments that you have posted on the issue we put up. We're asking you about the surprise inclusion of Chelsea midfielder Michael Essien in the Black Star squad to play against Gambia, and the exclusion of Sule Muntari, plus some other things that have taken place. Before I do that, though, let me just draw your attention to the fact that we have, thanks to you, we have 40,000 plus likes, and about 2,000 people are talking about us right now. Thank you very much. You can get onto our Facebook wall and also like us. But some of the comments, Aminu says, it's not their fault, it's our forefathers' path. And Eni Nano says it was strengthening our team. Okay, so I just lost my page right there and then, but that'll be it for the bulletin. Before we go, the quick run through our top stories. President Mahama has reiterated his commitment to peace after the delivery of the Supreme Court verdict on the election petition, adding that the country's values will see it through. The Ningo Ningo Traditional Council has banned wild jubilation over the election petition verdict and is threatening to arrest those who violate it. The police have been indicted in a recent deadly clash over illegal mining at Twifo-Praso in the central region. Work is to begin in October this year on the upgrade of the Ridge Hospital into an ultra-modern 420-bed capacity hospital in 2 years. And the Accra Metropolitan Assembly is unlikely to meet the presidential deadline for the naming of all streets in Accra. That's it for more news. Log on to myjoyonline.com. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.